My dear sisters and brothers, as usual, I'd like to begin by thanking you sincerely for offering yourselves again this year to carry out this very important ministry of being catechists in the local church of the Archdiocese of Pretoria, and doing so without expecting any material return for it. I thank you sincerely for your goodwill and for your generosity. May God bless you abundantly as you carry out this very important service in the church. This Mass, dear sisters and brothers, is not just a Mass of the mandate, where you receive the permission and the authority to act as catechists. This Mass is not just an occasion when you are licensed, as it were, to operate as catechists in this Archdiocese of Pretoria. Rather, this Mass marks an occasion when you annually renew your commitment to the vocation of being catechists in the church. You are not just being mandated, but you are in fact renewing your commitment to the vocation of being catechists in the church. You embrace this vocation anew with the requisite consciousness. You are aware of what you are doing. And you do it deliberately because you want to give yourself over to God and to serve in the church of God as catechists. You are not just drifting again into being a catechist, but you are consciously recommitting yourself. This indeed is a vocation in which you are called by the church community to act on its behalf in accompanying those who are embarking on the journey of growing in their faith and deepening their faith. You are doing this on behalf of the church, in this case the local church of the Archdiocese of Pretoria. You respond to a vocation, to a calling by God through the church, in this case the local church of the Archdiocese of Pretoria. There are important implications in approaching your role as catechist as a vocation. That has very important implications. Firstly, this is something you embrace and carry out in response to God's call. Go into the whole world, we're reminded in the Gospel, and proclaim the Gospel to every creature. Whoever believes and is baptized will be saved. Whoever does not believe will be condemned. That is the call you are responding to. Go out to the whole world, proclaim the good news. It's important for us to recognize that as catechists, we are not just about teaching doctrines and traditions and practices and liturgical rubrics. We are about proclaiming the good news so that those we accompany as they grow in faith will be set on fire with the good news. You therefore do not carry out this ministry on your own behalf, and according to your own way of understanding it. On the contrary, you carry out this service on behalf of the church that has been given the mandate to proclaim the good news to all creation. It is the church that is given that mandate. And then as catechists, we offer ourselves within the church community to help the church carry out that mandate. And therefore it makes sense that every year the church, represented in this case by the local ordinary, the Archbishop, commissions you again to remind you that you are carrying this thing out in the name of the church, not in your own name. Secondly, and before that, That's why, therefore, it is important that in carrying out your ministry as catechists, you familiarize yourself with the vision of catechesis that we have as the local church of the Archdiocese of Pretoria. Familiarize yourself with the plan that we have in carrying out catechesis in this Archdiocese of Pretoria. It is important that you be formed in such a way that you are able to carry out this ministry as envisaged in all the documents of the Archdiocese of Pretoria. So we don't want people to say, this is how it was done when I was young, it will never be done like that. Then you're doing your own thing. You're doing your own thing. You're not being a catechist, responding to a vocation within the church. You are doing your own thing. And maybe God is not in that. It's only your ego that is in that. But if you are the kind of catechist who understands your vocation, then you know that you carry that within the vision of catechesis upheld by the Universal Catholic Church and implemented in each particular local church. Secondly, the ultimate intended purpose of catechesis is not just to teach church doctrines and traditions and common practices. Rather, the ultimate goal of catechesis is to bring people to have a living relationship with God through Jesus Christ. That the people who accompany as we go with them through the classes we give to them, they come to have a living relationship with God. So that at the end of the day, it's not just that they know what the Catholic Church teaches, important as that is. But at the end of the day, it must be people who have come to have a relationship of friendship with God, where God becomes their God. God becomes a force that is at work in them, an intimate friend who travels with them on their journey of life. And this relationship is founded on a firm, deep, and unwavering faith, which enables us to have peace with God through Jesus Christ, as the second reading reminds us. And this faith becomes for us an undying source of hope for those who have it. So the ultimate goal really is not just an intellectual trip that you are taking people on. The ultimate goal is to bring people to be on fire with the good news, to bring people to have a living relationship with God, so that God becomes their God, a force that is active in their daily lives. From this, it becomes clear, therefore, that as catechists, you are teachers of a way of life. You are teachers of a way of life, not just of knowledge, of doctrines, of traditions, or ways of worshipping. You are introducing people into a way of life. Your vocation, therefore, is about introducing people to a way of life and setting them on fire with the message of the good news, that they themselves become living witnesses of that message in the world. That when they have gone through our catechesis program, then we have living, committed witnesses of the good news in the world. This talks about, therefore, the importance of being yourselves witnesses and models of what you teach in the way you live our lives. That's why being a catechist is a vocation. It is something that must touch the way you live your life. And the people who accompany, yes, they listen to what we say when we teach, but they also observe how we live our lives. So that what we teach is congruent with how we live our daily lives. That's what is more powerful. That's what has a more powerful impact on the people who accompany, when they see that you are in fact ourselves on fire with what you are talking about. And despite our own weaknesses and shortcomings, we are trying to walk the way that we are introducing them into. And that is critical. That the way we live somehow supports what we do when we carry out our vocation as Catholics. We cannot be teaching people to walk straight while we are walking on the sideways ourselves. They go there, but when they look at you, you're going that side. Then that contradicts the message that we're imparting. During this Jubilee year, finally, we are called to proclaim the message of being pilgrims of hope, the hope that does not disappoint. As pilgrims on the journey of faith, we are called to maintain our hope despite the challenges and difficulties encountered in our lives and in the world. As catechists, we are called to be witnesses of this hope, to be known as people who are pilgrims of hope, who in the midst of darkness are still able to hope even against hope. For they know that the Spirit of God has been poured into our hearts. For they know that the God we worship is the God who is Emmanuel, who is always with us. For they know that the God we worship is the one who spent 3 days in the dark tomb, but after 3 days rose. So whatever dark moment or dark circumstance, we remain pilgrims of hope. And catechists should show that by example. Have the eyes to see the light that is there, even in the midst of the darkness. Help people to have the spiritual eyes to perceive the blessings, the wonders that are there, even though there's a lot of other things around. So that they don't see only what is negative, but they see the hand of God at work, even in those dark moments. May your ministry, therefore, as catechists, contribute to instilling hope in those you accompany. May it be about opening their spiritual eyes to perceive the presence of God in the world and in their lives, even in the darkest places and moments. That's where God is even more present, if only you have the eyes to perceive. May it be about helping them to open their hearts to welcome the God who desires to be their faithful companion on the journey of life. The God who stands at the door of our hearts knocking, saying, if you let me come, then I will come and live with you, and your life will be an unending celebration. Even when all around you there's nothing to celebrate. But when God is with you, deep down, your life becomes an unending celebration. May those who accompany as catechists be brought to an experience where they truly become disciples and living witnesses of the new reign of God. One litmus test that would measure whether our catechizing has been effective is when our young people, after they've been confirmed, do not leave the church, but instead commit themselves. We will have transformed them into disciples, into witnesses, who in their own right now want to spread the good news. And may God bless you abundantly for your generosity, and thank you very much again from the bottom of my heart. Amen.